Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be reclaiming your masculinity. Well, I've got another really good success story for you. This particular guy has been following me for about a year and a half, and he first found me after his 9-year marriage started to come apart because he found out that his wife was nice enough to be working on lining up his replacement. And he says in the beginning of the relationship he was alpha, he did things right, but over time he basically became a people pleaser, always put his needs last, jumped through his butt constantly to try to give her what she wanted. They have a couple great kids together, but she was nice enough to try to line up his replacement behind his back. So now he's in a great relationship with a woman who's much more beautiful and younger than his ex-wife is, and he's happy. He's got his inner alpha back, and he wanted to share the success story to encourage other people like you who happen to be watching the video of what you are capable of when you apply the book by reading it. I think he said he read it about 10 times so far. Again, the one common denominator when I have the best success stories I get are guys that read the book 10 to 15 times. That's just the way it is. Guys that struggle, they read it once or twice, and they wonder why they're still struggling. I had a phone session today with a guy who he found out about my work. It was about a little over a year ago, year and a half ago. He found my work, read the book twice, but that was a year and a half ago. Started applying things that I was teaching, and the girl that originally friend-zoned him, he was able about 8-10 months later to end up hooking up with her. But the problem is once he started dating her and things were going well, he slowly reverted back to his beta male ways. And then by the end of the second time she dumped him and tried to friend zone him, he didn't even realize it, but he had basically started doing exactly what he was doing that led to him getting friend zoned the first time around. And one of the things I pointed out to him is like, well, I mean, in a year and a half, you only read the book barely. He's on his second read of it now, I think is what he was saying. It's like, how can you possibly expect to be successful? And as he was telling my story, and I was pointing these things out to him, he was like, oh, yeah, it totally makes sense now. I see it. I see where I went wrong. He basically over-pursued and chased this girl to the point where he got friend-zoned. And then about 8 months later, he was dating somebody else. And then he breaks up with her, runs into this girl again. They start dating, and he was completely indifferent and doing everything right. But she started calling him and texting him all over him. And what started to happen, slowly he started to pursue her more and more once his emotions became engaged. And even though he watches many of my videos and he'd read the book a couple times, I mean, that was over a year ago that he actually read the book. So obviously it's not going to be very clear in his mind. And he didn't even realize that he, in essence, had completely reverted exactly back to the same kind of behavior that got him friend zoned the first time around. So, with that said, I've got a quote that I wrote in this particular topic, and I'm going to go through this guy's email and see what he did to reclaim his inner alpha and his masculinity back. And the quote says, being a people pleaser, putting yourself and your needs last, and being too timid and shy to stand up for yourself and what you want invites unnecessary suffering, enables and encourages other people to take advantage of you, inhibits your success, and leads to a life of quiet desperation. The right lovers and friends will be your biggest cheerleaders and always will have positive words of encouragement in your darkest hours of self-doubt. The wrong ones will make you doubt and question yourself and your dreams. Love is about giving, meeting each other's needs, helping each other grow and become more, and reaching your full potential together. You must choose your peer group very carefully. Why? If you don't, the wrong peer group will become the greatest obstacle to your success and happiness. So let's go through his email. He says, hi, Coach. You have helped change my life in many ways, and I am forever grateful for your work. Thank you. You're welcome. It's just simply my purpose. It's just what I do. But I appreciate the gratitude. I've read your book at least 10 times and have highlighted the good parts in different color highlighters to remember it all. I have read most of the books you recommend on your website over the last year and a half. I never miss your newsletters, and I have listened to many of your newsletters' history. Notice that you've read the book at least 10 times and he's using highlighters. This is somebody who's a serious student. This is somebody who said, enough is enough. I'm fucking tired of living this way. I deserve better. I want better. And I'm determined to figure out how to make it better. That's why he's got this great success story to share with you. I first saw your work about 6 months after I broke up with my kid's mother. I decided enough was enough. I talked about this many times in the past. It's like people won't change their belief system. They won't change the way they're going about things until they realize that it's no longer working for them. Much the same way somebody who is an addict won't get help until they admit that they have a problem and they've just gotten to a point where they've had enough and they don't want to live that way anymore. Another second, another day. They get to a point and they just say, enough of this shit. And he got to that place. And obviously he started seeking out answers, and he came across my work. He says, I needed to pull my head out of my ass and do something about how fucking shitty I felt. When my kid's mother and I first met, I was a strong alpha male, and I was just starting a new business and had a strong purpose. I mean, that's right. That's one of the basic tenets of what I talk about in the book, of how a man needs to focus on that. That's what the embodiment of masculine energy is. Women love guys who have ambition, who have goals, who have dreams, and are chasing after them in an unstoppable manner. It's like one of the things that Will Smith said. He said, before anybody else in the world will believe it, you have to believe it yourself. She was a very abusive woman, and after about a year of being with her, being told I was no good, that's an important point. If you're with a woman and she doesn't support what you do, if she doesn't have positive, encouraging things to say to you about your purpose, about your dreams, about what you do for a living, you're with the wrong fucking woman. The right woman is always going to build you up. She's always going to be offering positive words of encouragement. She's going to be your biggest cheerleader even when you're not around. When you're not around and maybe family members are bashing you or people that know you are bashing you, she's going to stand up for you. But the wrong woman is going to constantly talk shit about you to your face and behind your back. Those are not the right kind of people you want in your life. I had turned into the biggest beta male bitch around. Holy fuck, I was a bitch. It's embarrassing when I think about it. I even went a whole year 2 times without even a blowjob. I see so much in guys that have been in long-term marriages, guys that have been together many decades with their wives, and sex stopped decades ago. And then they finally leave the relationship, or most of the time the woman, I think it's like about 75% of the time, the women tend to end it after they've lined up the replacement. And then they come across my work and they just totally get their fucking freak on and they make up for lost time, which I think is wonderful. I gave her all my extra money after I paid off all the bills and bought her anything she wanted in fear that she was going to leave me. What you fear, you attract. What you look at disappears. You're going to leave me. Can I help you pack? I never thought I would ever meet someone again, and I never wanted my family to split up. She knew that, so I did anything for her. So he basically negotiated like he was worthless, and therefore his wife treated him that way. I was with her for about 9 years. We have 2 awesome boys together, 4 and 7 years old. Well, dude, you're a great father for the fact that you got out of that shitty marriage and you've gotten into a great relationship now, because now your 2 boys can see a great, healthy example of what a man is supposed to be like, despite whatever your ex-wife does. In the end of our relationship, I caught her shopping for my replacement. I was nice of her. You did everything for her. You jumped through your butt. You gave her all the money. You paid all the bills. You took care of whatever she wanted. You bought her whatever she wanted. And that's how she repays you, by lining up a replacement. I decided that that was enough. I found a new place, and I told her I was moving to a new house without her. We had half parenting time each. Within a few months of practicing the things you teach, I was back to being a strong alpha male again. I looked at the world in a whole new light, and I realized I was a prize, and women had to earn my affection. Remember what I said about the Will Smith quote. Before anyone else in the world will believe it, you have to believe it. It's so powerful. Another thing, no one, and this is not something that Will Smith said, there's a quote that I share in my book, and I talk about it all the time. No one will ever do or say anything to you that you don't invite them to do. He didn't stand up for himself. He let his wife walk all over him, and she did, because she allowed him to get away with it. It's like if you look at what's going on with ISIS and what's going on in the war in the Middle East, what you have is a bunch of bullies. And you got all these fucking weak-ass beta male leaders in all the modern countries around the world that are too much of a bunch of fucking pussies to stand up and do anything. And so these guys are emboldened because they're allowed to get away with it. Nobody stands up to them, and therefore they believe that this is divinely inspired, that God is on their side. And when you look at the Middle East as a whole, it tends to be a very tribal society, and they follow the strongest tribe. And who's the strongest tribe? The Islamic State is the strongest tribe. So people believe that, oh wow, this really must be God-inspired, so let's follow them. You got all these disaffected, broke people that are unhappy. They have no jobs. They have no hope. They've never held a woman's breast in their hand. They've never made love to a woman. And here come along these guys. Hey, we're taking over the Middle East and we're going to rule and dominate the world. And you get all the pussy you want. You get sex slaves. You get guns. You get money. You get cars. And if you die in battle, hey, you got 72 virgins waiting for you. And they're all perfect. It says so right in the Quran. So these guys follow the most extremist ideology. There was a quote that Edgar Cayce said in a reading, this is like 100 years ago. I really loved it. He said, "You have set before you each day good and evil. Choose what ye shall serve." When you study quantum physics, you realize that this whole physical world, this whole physical universe is just energy that's blinking into and out of existence 60 million times a second. And at the end of the day, we're all connected. We're all part of the same divine being. But it's like, what happens at school? You don't stand up to a bully. What does the bully do? The bully doesn't go after the really strong kids because they know they'll get their asses kicked. So they go after the weak people and the people that won't stand up to them. And when people don't stand up to them, it just encourages them to do more of it. When we all learn this, usually in grade school, it's like I learned this when I think it was in 7th grade. I had a kid that I grew up with in my neighborhood that was always fucking with me. We'd walk home from the bus stop and he'd be kicking me and pushing me. Well, you might as well start crying because I'm going to beat your ass today. And then I remember I had saved up for the skateboard that I really liked. And I remember he picked up my skateboard and started throwing it in the street and just chipped up the corners and the sides of it. And I love his skateboard. I fucking lost it. I just fucking lost it. I didn't care anymore. And I went after this fucking kid. I didn't care. He fucking clocked me, hit me a few times, rung my bell a few times in the face. But I fucking got him. He was like, arms were flailing, his feet were in the air, kicking me. He was this big, tall kid. He was at least 16 inches taller than me. And he fought like a fucking uncoordinated girl. And he never fucked with me again after that because he knew I wasn't going to take his fucking bullshit. No one will ever do or say anything to you that you don't invite them to do. It's very important. And one last thing I want to say about the Edgar Cayce quote. You have set before you each day good and evil. Choose what ye shall serve. What is good? Good is godliness. What is God? God is love. What is evil? Evil is simply separation from God. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in any of that crap that is taught in religion. When you study science and quantum physics, it just makes absolutely no sense. The whole entire universe is held together by energy. Study Max Planck. I've shared some quotes on his in the past where he talks about quantum physics, and this is going back 100 years ago all this stuff was discovered. But anyways, just thought I'd throw that out there. He says, I got rid of all the haters in my life and surrounded myself with positive, supportive friends. Love your family, choose your peers. I was dating 3 or 4 women at a time, and I'm in a committed relationship with one of these women now, and she treats me like a king. She's always okay with me being the leader at all times. Every time she tests me, I pass with flying colors as a direct result of your help, coach. I first met her at the insurance office. I walked into the office, scanned the room for ladies, and saw a very cute woman sitting there, walked over, sat by her, started a conversation, and immediately arranged a date in 4 days to pick her up on my motorcycle and go on to a surprise location because the ladies love a mystery. I mean, it's perfect. It's like, what does that tell you about his state of mind? He's ready, he's willing, he's able, and he's open to meeting somebody. And when that's in the back of your mind and you're repeating a mantra to yourself like, wouldn't it be nice if I met my soulmate today? Wouldn't it be nice if I met the next greatest love of my life? Wouldn't it be nice if I met Mr. Right or Mr. Right now, or Mrs. Right or Mrs. Right now? Wouldn't it be nice if I met my future wife? And when that's in the back of your mind and you're focusing on that and you're open to it and you're ready for it and you love yourself and you love your life and you're happy and you're looking forward to how your life is going to continue to unfold because you're constantly moving in the direction of your goals and your dreams, even when you don't feel like you're making much progress, this is exactly what happens. He's totally focused. He's got the right mindset. He's been practicing the fundamentals. He's read the book 10 times, and boom, just textbook. It happens easily and effortlessly, and obviously she was digging him. He says she is a university student in the city I live in and works 2 jobs. I never knew her age at first. Then one day she was asked for an ID at a casino, and as it turns out, she was 19 when we first met, and I was 37. Women love a guy who acts like a man. And more than likely, she's probably a lot more mature than most women that are her age. And that's why she appreciates an older guy, a guy who acts like a man. Because, let's face it, most of the guys her age are little fucking boys. I mean, look at her. She's working 2 jobs. She's going to school. She's driven. She's focused. She's motivated. She's acting like an alpha female would be. She has grand goals and dreams. She's not focused on bubblegum talk and, oh, when's the next party? And I was like, and we were like, She's going someplace. Like attracts like. Even though she's much younger, we're talking like 18 years younger. I mean, he's literally old enough to be her father. Doesn't fucking matter. And at the end of the day, when you look at it from a soul perspective, we're all the same age. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. As it says in the Bible, we were created in the image and likeness of the Creator. And really understand that, it's pretty easy to understand why God doesn't interfere. Why God doesn't stop all, because it's up to all of us collectively. It's up to all of us collectively to decide together what we're willing to tolerate. And right now, what you see with radical Islamic extremism, the rest of the world is just sitting back hoping this shit's going to go away. They're looking for a leader. They're looking for somebody to stand up and say, enough of this shit, and snuff it out forever. I mean, Christianity went through a reformation several hundred years ago. It's time for Islam to go through a reformation. And what's cool is you finally have Muslim leaders in the Middle East that are starting to stand up and say this. Even the Sisi, the president of Egypt, said that. And people are starting to realize that, I mean, this causing incredible damage to society around the world. It's like humanity's going through growth pains. And we're all in this together. Everybody has to do their part. Our age difference has never been an issue for her at all. She's a very young, very beautiful, high-quality woman that I only dreamed about being with at a very low point in my life. I won't lie, though. I still get confused with her behavior sometimes. It's okay now, though, because I can understand where she is coming from after I am able to open her up and work through her feelings instead of being fearful and giving up. And this is another reason. He learned the book by reading it 10 to 15 times. He got to understand how to communicate with women effectively. Obviously, you got to have a normal, healthy woman that'll actually communicate with you, not a woman who's going to stonewall you and go, I don't want to talk about it. I just want to have fun. It's impossible to work things out when you're with somebody who just refuses to communicate. And they give you this silent treatment where they say, I just need to be pissed off for a while and I'll get back to you in a couple days when I calm down, and just sweep shit under the rug. It's incredibly frustrating. I've dated women that are like that. You never resolve anything. And over the months that you date, shit just keeps building up. But luckily, in this particular case, this woman sounds like she's got her shit together, and she communicates and expresses herself, and he's able to lead her to do that so he can finally really get to understand where she's coming from. He asks her the questions like I talk about in the book to get her to explicitly explain what she's thinking, what she's feeling, and what she needs from him. Instead of him making assumptions, because that's what most guys do. Most guys make assumptions, and 99% of the time, they make the wrong assumption, and it doesn't end well. I also have my 2 boys full-time now, and I opened up a new business that I'm very excited about. Well, that's awesome. You got your boys full-time. So who's going to influence them more? You are. Why? Because you're the fucking leader. You are the king of your kingdom. You're the alpha male of the house. The world needs more alpha males and more alpha females to stand up and run shit. Like I said, all you got to do is look around all the Western and most of the governments of the world. You got too many fucking beta males and females running things. And they're weak. And they allow shit to fester and they do nothing about it. They're so focused on sweeping shit under the rug and making excuses and being politically correct because they're focused on one thing, and that's keeping their job instead of doing the right thing. As I'm writing this, I can't help but feel emotional, and it feels fucking good. Thanks for your help, Coach. My life would be very different without your help. I hope you can share this in a newsletter sometime to give other men out there that felt like I did some hope that things can get better if you do the work. What did Confucius say? Success depends upon prior preparation. And without said preparation, there is sure to be failure. In the beginning of the video, I talked about a client that I had a phone session with today. He didn't listen to me when I told him to read the book 10 to 15 times. And therefore, what happened? He got rejected once again. So now, 2 times with the same woman in the past year and a half, he's got rejected and friend-zoned. Twice. How do you think he feels? Feels like shit. That's not a happy place to be. This guy, why did he succeed? He read the book 10 times or more. He highlighted it. He went out and applied it. He dated multiple women. And when a really great woman came along, the other ones just kind of fell away. That's the way it works. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever coaching option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.